The money being spent to preserve Denver's homeless camping ban sure would have gone a long way to help the homeless. That is not a judgment. That is simply an observation about the sheer amount of cash that is backing the No on 300 campaign. Enough money for 2 political ads on TV saying that the compassionate choice for voters is to preserve Denver's move along rule. Our politics guy Marshall Zelinger looks at their claims and follows the money.
A year ago, this is where my daughter and I were sleeping.
The No on 300 campaign, Together Denver, has political ads featuring Natalie and Paul, 2 people who have experienced homelessness.
I know what it's like to live on the streets.
This truth test is not about their personal stories. It's about the message they're providing about Initiative 300, the ballot question asking Denver voters, yes, the homeless population is free to camp on public property, or no, the homeless camp sweeps can continue. Natalie's ad talks about getting help from a crisis team.
If 300 passes, we may not have gotten that help. It prevents police and service providers from approaching homeless.
This is an overstatement, but the city of Denver is concerned about getting sued. The actual ordinance for 300 states it shall be unlawful for, let's call this next part police and service providers, to harass, terrorize, threaten, or intimidate someone benefiting from the rights of 300. It goes on to say requesting ID by any person would be a civil rights violation unless supported by reasonable suspicion of a crime. So 300 would not prevent police and service providers from approaching the homeless. If they did, though, it's not clear if it would be considered harassment.
Allowing homeless people to camp in parks and public spaces isn't a solution. It creates public health and safety issues.
There is some truth in the second half of this statement. Just Wednesday, Denver cleared out the sidewalks near the Denver Rescue Mission to address public health and safety concerns. Food leftovers that attract rodents and pests, human and animal waste that could lead to communicable diseases, and discarded needles. But the city attorney's office told me last week if 300 passes, police would still be able to enforce health and safety laws if there were visible drug use, illegal activity, or unsanitary conditions. Through the end of March, Together Denver raised more than $1.5 million, $200,000 from the National Association of Realtors. Why? A spokeswoman told me 300 does not address the root cause of homelessness or provide funds for housing and mental health services. Do they provide funds for housing and mental health services? I didn't get an immediate answer. The Denver Center for the Performing Arts contributed $50,000. The owner of Cherry Creek Shopping Center provided $25,000. Why? They told me Together Denver has our stance. Well, a more specific answer might be because the Cherry Creek Trail and the public property around it go right behind the mall. And the Colorado Rockies here contributed $10,000. I didn't get an immediate response as to why, but I should point out the Rockies also contribute to homeless help. Kyle, they even sponsor a race in June, the Home Run for the Homeless 5K.